Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you are having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is an entitled People story. When I bought my house last year, I made sure it wasn't part of any homeowners association. I don't like people telling me what to do, especially on my own property. The house I found was perfect. A nice little two-bedroom on a quiet street. No homeowner association in sight. After I moved in, I started doing some renovations. First, I repainted the outside, a nice sage green color that I picked out. Then I redid the front yard, removed the grass, and planted a ton of native wildflowers and bushes. I thought it looked amazing, like a little oasis on the street. A few weeks after I finished the front yard, I got a letter in the mail from something called the Maple Street Homeowner Association. It said that my recent exterior renovations were in violation of homeowner association bylaws. I had no idea there even was an homeowner association on Maple Street. The letter went on to describe all sorts of rules. No front yard gardens, only approved paint colors, etc. It included a fine for $200 for my unapproved landscaping and paint. I was pissed. I specifically avoided buying a house with an homeowner association, and now they were trying to fine me for changes I made to my own property? I figured it had to be a mistake, so I called the homeowner association board president listed on the letter. "Hello?" a snooty voice answered. "Hi, I'm calling about a letter I received from the Maple Street Homeowner Association," I said. "I think there's been some kind of mistake. My house isn't part of an homeowner association." "Yes, it is," she replied rudely. "All the houses on the north side of Maple Street are part of the homeowner association. It was created in 1998. Just because you weren't aware of the rules does not mean you can violate them with no consequences." I was starting to get angry. "No, you don't understand. I specifically checked before I bought this house. There is no homeowner association attached to the property." "You're mistaken," she said. "Now are you going to comply and repaint your house and remove the unapproved landscaping? Or do I need to turn this over to our lawyer?" Now she was threatening me with lawyers? Oh, heck no. "I suggest you check with the county property records," I said. "You'll see my house and property are not part of your homeowner association." I hung up before she could argue further. Who did this lady think she was, trying to bully me into complying with rules I never agreed to? But I started to get nervous that maybe there was some legality I didn't understand, so I went straight to the county recorder's office to double check. Just as I expected, there were no homeowner association bylaws attached to my property record. I let out a sigh of relief. This was just a case of mistaken identity, though now I had to figure out how to get the homeowner association off my back. A few days later, I got another letter, this time from the homeowner association's lawyer. It reiterated the supposed violations and included a copy of the Maple Street Homeowner Association bylaws. The lawyer threatened further legal action if I did not comply with the homeowner association's demands. Okay, this was getting ridiculous. I decided I needed some legal advice, so I found a real estate attorney in town. I told her the whole story and showed her my property records. "This is an easy case," she assured me. "Your property is definitely not part of their homeowner association. Just let me send them a cease and desist letter explaining that they have no authority over you or your property." It felt so good having a professional confirm I was in the right. A few days after my lawyer sent the letter, I got a call from the homeowner association president. "I'm very sorry for the mistake," she said in a clipped tone. "After reviewing the county property records again, we see that you are correct that your home is not part of our association." "Thank you for clarifying," I said, trying to be polite even though I was still irritated. "We will rescind any fines and stop contacting you," she said. "Please accept my apologies for the confusion." "Apology accepted," I said, though it didn't feel very sincere to me. I thought that was the end of it. But a few weeks later, I ran into one of my neighbors while getting the mail. "Hey, did you end up having to repaint your house and get rid of the garden?" he asked. When I explained what had happened with the homeowner association, he shook his head. "They tried that same crap with me when I moved in last year. Said my mailbox color wasn't approved. But I'm definitely not part of their association. I think they're trying to force everyone on the street to join." Now I was really mad again, realizing this wasn't just an innocent mistake but a deliberate intimidation tactic. I wondered how many other neighbors had been bullied into complying. Well, I'd had enough of this homeowner association trying to throw their weight around. I organized a neighborhood meeting and invited everyone who lived on my street, homeowner association members or not. At the meeting, I learned that the homeowner association had been increasingly aggressive with their demands over the past year. They felt entitled to enforce their rules on the whole street, not just their members' properties. Several neighbors who were not homeowner association members had experiences just like mine, baseless threats of fines and legal action. One elderly woman said she was scared into removing her bird feeders and flower pots because the homeowner association said they violated their guidelines. By the end of the meeting, we all agreed that the homeowner association needed to be sent a clear message. So we put together a petition stating that they had no authority over non-homeowner association properties and needed to stop harassment and threats. Nearly everyone on the street signed it, even homeowner association members who were fed up. I hand-delivered the petition to the homeowner association president. At first she tried to laugh it off, but I stood firm. If you keep trying to enforce your rules on my property, or any other non-homeowner association homes, we will take legal action, I stated. You have no right to threaten and intimidate people who never agreed to your association. Finally, my words seemed to sink in. She agreed to honor the petition and stop their intimidation tactics. The homeowner association lawyer even reached out to apologize for his role. I let my neighbors know that we stood up for ourselves and got the homeowner association to back down. The homeowner association still tries to flex their power over their own members, but they leave the rest of us alone now, and my front yard garden keeps thriving. I'm glad I didn't let some entitled bully take away my freedom over my own property. The next one is a pro-revenge story. I don't know whether this counts as a pro-revenge, but here is my story, which happened some years ago. I, 26F at the time, had just started dating Thomas, 28M, and things seemed promising. Very sweet man, educated and quite smart, good looks. After 7 weeks of dating, he invited me and 2 of his childhood friends, let's call them Alex and Bart, for a long 29th birthday celebration weekend at his father's country house in a small French town. His father was going to be around as well, and I was very excited to meet everyone. Day 1, Friday, is fun. I am happy to get along well with Thomas's father, a smart and caring man. Day 2, Saturday. After a very nice day, we enjoy a party in the garden with the neighbors, including some friends of Thomas. After a few hours and lots of drinks, a group of people gather around a small campfire and start sharing childhood memories. This is where things go wrong. At first, of course, innocent and dumb stories as you would expect. But then, Thomas and his friends started sharing really sick stuff. In particular, they told a story about how, when they were 14 or 15 years old, they found very amusing to bully for almost 6 months Arthur, a boy of their school who was very isolated and shy, making jokes, calling names, you name it. As if this was not enough, they created a fake girl profile on MSN Messenger, a computer platform to exchange live messages that we used in years 2000s, and spent ducking months exchanging messages with him under the false girl identity, flirting and developing a false relationship with the poor boy. Some people were in the confidence at school, and it became a big and cruel joke behind Arthur's back. They used pictures of Bart's real cousin, and the boy truly thought he had some kind of online girlfriend to whom he even sent confessions and love messages. At some point, they got bored and scheduled a false rendezvous IRL, asking the boy to take a bus for 2 or 3 hours, wearing a shirt Elmer the Elephant, based on a private joke. Obviously, there was no one waiting for him, and they did not know how long he waited over there by himself. If Arthur had not already understood what was going on, he found out the next day at school after Thomas and Bart told the story to everyone, and even shared the love messages that Arthur had been writing. The poor boy stopped coming to class and apparently changed school, and it is easy to imagine that this must have been extremely traumatizing to him. Do you think that Thomas, Alex, and Bart had any bit of shame about it? Not a bit of remorse in particular on Thomas and Bart's side. They kept making jokes about it, and even seemed to regret that they were not good enough at being evil to convince the boy to send nudes or sexy pics. I don't even want to imagine what would have happened if he had done so. To say that I felt uncomfortable would be a gross understatement. I was absolutely horrified and started to despise Thomas more than anything. I was not the only one shocked. Thomas's father, who heard the end of the story, had the most disappointed look in the eyes. His stupid son was so drunk that he did not even notice it. I escaped the party immediately after that and got back to the house. I could not sleep at all this night, and I kept thinking about the evening and how Thomas was still finding this funny. I heard him coming to bed around 4 a.m., but I pretended I was asleep. Day 3, Sunday, was the actual birthday, and the initial plan was that I would take Thomas on a one fancy surprise date for lunch nearby, and then we would meet the group for a late afternoon party. But instead I woke up very early on Sunday morning, took all my stuff in silence, and went alone to the train station where I took a direct train heading back to Paris. I decided to send a text to Thomas wishing him happy birthday, and telling him to meet me at a certain location 1 hour from the house for a surprise, and that I needed to go a little bit in advance to make sure that everything would be perfect. I had picked the location randomly, using Google Maps to gain time. Thomas read the text around 10 a.m. when he woke up. He responded with excitement that he would follow religiously the instructions. When he arrived there at 12:30, I told him to wait further as there was little delay on something. Then I asked him to meet me at a restaurant which was 30-minute drive from the initial location. When he arrived at 13:15, I texted him that I was on my way, would arrive in 20 minutes, and that he will understand when he sees me why I made him wait. I also asked him to order some food and the most expensive bottle on the menu. Around 13:30, he started calling me several times and sent a lot of worried texts, and after 45 minutes I responded, in French, "So how does it feel to have people play with your feelings?" Then I stopped responding. I let him call and text the entire afternoon, but never responded. At some point, an unknown number called me. It was his friend Alex asking what was going on and that Thomas' birthday was completely ruined because of what I did. I just responded, "This is an extremely small payback for what you did to Arthur. Tell Thomas to stop calling me," and hung up. I blocked them. I still felt bad the entire evening as I had started to grow attached to Thomas back then. The following days, a common friend called me to say that my reaction was completely absurd and unfair, that it was not my role to punish someone for actions they did as a teenager, that they were adult ways of saying things, and that I had been completely crazy. Only a few people supported what I did. Everyone else seemed to think that I was an idiot. Thomas tried to fix things and win me back for a few months afterwards. I never responded to any of his messages. I don't regret it. I simply hope that Arthur, who should be 35 or 36 years old now, is well. The next one is a petty revenge story. So I'm at the checkout stand in the grocery store, cart completely full of groceries. I start unloading my things onto the conveyor belt, pretty standard. I'm not even a quarter of the way through loading everything up when this huge, enormous, quivering ham beast of a woman comes panting into line behind me. She immediately hefts 2 36-packs of Mountain Dew onto the conveyor belt behind my stuff. No divider or anything. She just stands there and sweats. I was a bit dumbfounded at first, because here I was with my cart still full of groceries that need to be put on the belt, and now her cases of soda were taking up any available room. Having never been faced with this particular breach of grocery checkout protocol, I nodded to my cart and told her, I've still got a few things to load up here." She glared at me and huffed, "Well, I only have 2 things, so you should have let me go ahead of you, you rude crap." This lady, the hell. Not only had I already been loading everything up, but the clerk had begun ringing up the items well before she had even truffle shuffled her way over to the line. If we'd gotten there at the same time, sure, I would have let her go ahead. But apparently she could not wait to lug that Mountain Dew out of her cart and onto the belt. Being generally non-confrontational, I cracked an eyebrow at her comment and tried to load up more items Tetris style. When it became apparent that there was simply no more room to be had, I turned and asked her, "You mind moving that stuff back a bit so I can get the rest of my groceries up here?" Still panting from the intense exertion of lifting 2 cases of soda, she responded with, "I'm not moving a goddamn thing." At this point, that little voice in my head that was saying, "Hey Zerbo, don't be an a-hole to this lady," was now saying, "Dude, just do it." So I narrowed my eyes and without a word lifted up both cases of soda and put them back into her shopping cart. While she asks me what the hell I'm doing and flips out at the realization that she will once again have to put her body through the grueling exercise that is lifting 2 cases of soda, I finish getting my items loaded onto the now unoccupied conveyor belt. While swiping my card to finish the transaction, she begins bumping my hip with her shopping cart, on purpose, repeatedly. like a child. I turn to her again, and once again I don't say a thing. But this time I reached into her cart and ripped the cardboard handles off her cases of soda, brutally, like I was the lion of the checkout lane, and those sodas were the innards of a dying gazelle. While I'd only intended to rip the handles off to make them harder to lift, I had instead compromised the structural integrity of both boxes, and all the cans of soda within came tumbling out inside her cart. So she began shrieking with indignant rage, and I tried my hardest not to laugh. By that time my transaction was done, and I went on my merry way while the rest of the store stared at this blubbery gravy boat of a woman having a rage stroke over her soda. Have fun lifting your soda now. The next one is a malicious compliance story. A post earlier this week of a truck blocking cars in an apartment complex reminded me of this story. Very long. And no, you can't post this on your website to suck in advertising clicks. Back in the heyday of a fiber company with the letter V in their name, they were jamming fiber into the ground as fast as they could. They came to our townhouse village. We got notice that they would be starting the next Monday and that they would be going along the inside edge of the sidewalks to set primary fibers, and if we wanted it to come to the house to paste this orange sign on our front doors. Okay, I was happy with the current provider, so no orange for me. Parking is tight, with spaces for residents marked and some for visitors marked. I was surprised to come home on Friday to see a ditch witch, cable digging insertion machine, across the 3 spaces my family normally used. I said to the workmen that they were in my spaces, and they were across them. Why not move to the visitor spot next spot over, and rather than being across them, just put the machine in the spot like it was a car? That way it would take 1 spot, not 3. Digger guy goes, I already set it there, I have other work, you can sort out the parking, and drove off. Okay, fine. So I park my car as close as I can get to the machine, using the visitor's spot. When next car arrives, we place it as close to the machine in the space on the other side. Next car goes across the 3 spaces parallel to the machine. This blocks it in on 3 sides. Can't get out the 4th since there are the concrete bumpers, plus lack of wiggle room. Others make alternate plans to get to work. I stay home to watch the action. Digger guy shows up, sees that he's blocked in and is very sad. Stomps around the digger, around the cars, around the digger, another pass around the cars. They go to the first townhouse. No answer. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all at work. Gets to me. Those your cars? Yep, parked in my spot. You need to move them. Nope, busy with other work, and I close the door. Bang, bang, bang. You can't block me in, you can't park there. I can park there and look at them, I already did. You said for me to sort my parking out on Friday, and I did. I'm going to call the police. Go for it. And I closed the door. About an hour passed, knock at the door. I'm the site engineer for a company with V in their name. Are those cars yours? Yep, you need to move them. No, when your work drone dropped the machine off, I suggested rather than take up 3 spaces, they take up 1. They said I should sort my own parking out. I did, and I have other work to do. Closed the door. More knocking that I ignored. By now there is a crowd of work people milling around. Another hour passes, new knocking. I'm the senior project engineer for a company with V in their name. Are those cars yours? Yep, you need to move them. No, when your work drone dropped the machine off, I suggested, rather than take up 3 spaces, they take up 1. They said I should sort my own parking out. I did, and I have other work to do. We'll call the police. You do that, close the door. While finishing lunch, knock at the door. This is the police. Open up and ask how I can help. Get told by Office OB to move my car or they would be towed. I pointed to the private property sign and said, this is a private parking lot, you don't have jurisdiction. In fact, when we have complained about issues, your chief has said you don't have jurisdiction, so you can't call the tow, you need to deal with the homeowners association. Some splutter by Officer OB but acknowledged they don't have jurisdiction to call a tow and left. Late afternoon, knock at the door. Hey Kilted, this is member of the homeowner association. I open up, we go out, I explain the situation, sorry no 8x10 color glossies with circles and paragraphs on the back, to them. Homeowner association yells at people from company that has V in their name. Company people look sad. Homeowner association member asks, how can we solve this? I go, well, illegal parking is a $100 fine. They are across 3 spaces, so that would be $300 fine. They pay that we can call it a day. winking at homeowner association member. That works. I fine you $300 per day company with V in their name. Senior engineer with a company with V in their name goes, okay, we will pay it, move the cars. I go, they look like they will pull a runner on you. I'd get payment first. Good idea, you can pay me the fine since I'm the homeowner association. I can't get you a check today. When you get the check, you can start. Otherwise, there is a bank down the street. Cash will work. Senior engineer slinks away. Homeowner association member and I chat outside while worker drones mill around. Senior engineer returns, hands cash to the homeowner association member, and goes, okay, now move your cars. I comply, putting cars in other slots. When I come back from moving the last car, I see the digger parked in the visitor spot, correctly like a car. What's with that homeowner association member? Well, they decided that they had wasted the entire day and would start again tomorrow. They came and did the wires the next 3 days. Each day the digger was returned to its spot. Oddly, I never saw the guy that wanted me to sort my own parking out again. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.